Hello one and all, this is a little video about my writing of poetry and the system I'm using here. And, you know, in between all the madness of all this paperwork, you know, just a little bit of reading of something to keep me sane, in this case, this, in between sessions and such. Now, this kind of like covers the process of kind of how my mindset goes on writing this. So I get a concept and a feeling for what I want to say, and basically, it was a poem that's still in progress about mental exhaustion that comes about from writing too much or working too much. So I'm calling it Why Einstein Sailed. So it goes from the story that Einstein used to spend his whole day sort of sailing and just do like a minimum bit of work, and it would charge his mind to be able to think of the essential things that he had to, the thought experiments and stuff. A lot of it was so sort of internalized with his brilliance. Not saying that I'm brilliant, just saying that if I write too much or do too much work with something, then and I'm currently working on this. This is the course that I'm with now. It's a huge book, and I'd recommend it, by the way, if you're not doing this OU course, just to even actually buy this book, because it's got so many exercises in that will get you writing. Absolutely recommend it, 100%. Anyway, for this particular poem, what I wanted to do was put together a load of alliteration starting with the letter C. So I knew what my thing was going to be, Why Einstein Sailed, yeah, and I knew a rough beat to the lines. I didn't want to like follow anything specifically. I wanted it pretty free, and then work out a rough beat, and then see if I can come at it afterwards to see if they've got anything in common between each other, the beats. See basically what I have produced from the feel of my tongue, because it's a case of also just reciting what you've written to see, to try it out on your tongue. So yeah, I wanted it to be a whole series of C words, and then something that rhymes with S's on the end, to really, apostrophe each line. S's, 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 S's. So C, 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 S's. C, 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 S's. Like that. And that's just the feel I want for it. So I started trying to write some lines out, and it got really scrappy. Writing in longhand tends to be quite good for prose, I find. This is my longhand writing book. Good for prose, even though you can be quite scrappy, and it's beautiful paper, but you've got to not be scared of making a mess on it if you want to get anywhere. Writing in prose in longhand is good because you have to then copy everything you've just written up onto a computer, and in the process of doing that, you have to rewrite every word out, so you don't end up with this blindness that you can get by just using the computer only. Like some of the words there that might not be very good, you might be looking at and saying, well, do you know what? I've missed that bit. I've kind of become blind to it, so I can't really make changes to it. It feels like it's now part of the furniture. Like when you've got something in your room and it's lived there for too long and you can't find it, and it's right in front of your eyes because it's just become, you've become habituated to it being there. And that can be the problem with the words on screen. So if you do it in longhand first, you can delay the familiarization that happens with these words. Anyway, with poetry, the ideal is actually the other way around, to actually try and work on a computer, because there's so much moving around and reordering that has to happen, and I kind of, especially when you're like me, who you feel like you need to somewhat edit as you go, at least some edits. Not saying, well, I finished, I'm onto the next stanza now, so then that can't be edited anymore. That's not the case at all. You make some edits as you go, the ones you realise as you go. So anyway, with poetry, I am doing it in longhand anyway, but it at least lets me show you the breakdown of it. So yeah, I tried working on it here, and then there was so much reordering that had to happen that I started rewriting it out over here. So I also took a separate sheet, which I need to do in real rough. So on this one, I've took a bunch of C words. It's a bit like the Rhymewell exercise where you have a word in the middle. In this case, it's just things that start with C, and then you extend outwards to the rhymes that are most like it, and then the rhymes that are a little bit less like it, and then the rhymes that are a little bit less like it again, so that you can then pick and choose between the rhymes that are most closely associated and the rhymes that are more sort of slanted and, you know, only half rhymes or partial rhymes to the original. I don't like to work like that. I like to work on columns, because that way just my eye can just read it better somehow. So I've got the C words here and I've got the S's words here. So I've got a whole bunch of things. Now, you know, these aren't all the C words usable and all the S's words usable. It's a series of C words that I've chosen as my rhyme column, as my word column, being that I get this intuitive feeling that I will need them to say what I'm trying to say about you know, exhaustion from work and trying to balance work with something else to relax the mind, and how in the actual act of relaxing the mind, challenging you, that, you know, you're actually progressing your work forward. Like if you get stuck on something, you know, go do something else for a while, take a walk, do something else, and your subconscious will churn it and turn it into something without you realizing. And, you know, that's why Einstein sailed. And that's it right there, you see. So then as I end up using them off my column, I cross them out. So it's like, you know, I'm only going to use them once and that's that. So you can see some of the ones I still haven't done yet. And out of control, you see, while out of is not C, control is, and I can get it in there if I match it to the beat and get control in there on the beat. Cost, crisis, conflict, conclusion. So it's all kind of compounds, things that I might be able to work with, some onomatopoeia words here. You might see I've linked charming over here with caress and confess. And some of the way that I started going here was when I started rewriting it up, and I thought, I was doing it properly. I then put notes here, look, I'm going to have to move this one out and replace it here. And I thought the best way to actually do it is start numbering them. So the first stanza is 5 in, so I've just marked them. So it'll be that one, that one, that one, that one, and that one. And we don't have that one. That will be for stanza 2. So I've put a 2 next to it. 2, 2, 2. And then I'm basically trying ones out over here on this little bit of gap left. Where constructed clues create a crutch that suppresses when circumstance change you to choking expresses. Where to actually fit them, because the second stanza seems to be more about like not being able to concentrate because things are putting you off. And with a little bit of a leaning towards maybe need for sexual gratification or temptations into other things, be it like sweets, chocolate, or gambling, or whatever that thing is that might take you away from your higher self and let your lower self reign for a while. Let the chimp, the inner chimp, run loose for a while and make the decisions, basically. So hence stuff like your interconnective concentration undresses. You know, getting undresses in is that's slightly sort of seedy hint, but you know, you can take it two ways. Or when big city compost, or quotation marks there. So what am I saying? You know, it's not literally compost, but you can be. But what else is it? Contaminant progresses. You know, so you know the effect that the exposure to all of these things could have on you. So it's a case of then trying to reorder all of that together, and you know, to also then come in with this this line. That's why Einstein sailed all day. And you know, I've put in another possible line to work with as a follow-up. That's why Einstein had to get away. Sounds a little simple, but maybe the simplicity of that might actually work quite well against the complex sounding structures of these ones together. I don't know. Anyway, work in progress, why Einstein sailed. And that's what I'm going for. You need a concept in hand, basically. And for me, it was, you know, the vibe and the way I'm going to rhyme, the way the rhyme scheme's going to work, what tools it's going to use, and then try to just work and work and work it. So, you know, this is just a little glimpse into part of the creative process. And, you know, I get too worn out and then have to go off and sail for a while. And there it is.